In reviewing this year's progress, let me say that we have been highly effective in conditioning the people's minds to accept our solution to the world's problems. Energy crisis here in the United States was exceptionally successful worldwide, and we expect similar success with our upcoming food shortage. Our labor leaders have made great progress by causing confusion and work stoppages in all areas of the world. The end result will be a one-world monetary and government system that we alone will control.
Bet we're going to get it done.
Thank God we have the best tool that we could possibly have offered to us by Elon Musk, a free and open social media platform where we can get information out there and truth out there. That is what Elon Musk did when he bought Twitter. And he released Twitter from the predations of evil globalists like Klaus Schwab, who's hosting a world globalist summit right now. Klaus Schwab saying that the people who master AI, they will be the ones in control. I don't know if this guy's a simulation or auditioning for the next Bond villain. We'll see. Watch.
And we are just now where we move into the exponential phase. And I agree. Artificial intelligence, but not only artificial intelligence, but also the metaverse, near space technologies, and I could go on and on, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, very much affected, and who masters those technologies in some way will be the master of the world.
So this is Klaus Schwab talking about the importance of AI and saying that this has a deep and abiding threat to our power. If we want to maintain power, we're going to have to continue to develop and to become the masters of AI. Very interesting. Interesting terminology here, Klaus Schwab. Such an evil individual. However, he did invite Elon Musk to speak. And at this conference, if you want the antidote to getting that clip of Klaus Schwab out of your eyeballs, well, you should watch this clip of Elon Musk going hard in against globalism at the World Globalism Summit. Man, the balls on this guy. So based. Watch.
One thing I should say, and I know this is called the World Government Summit, but I think we should be maybe a little bit concerned about actually becoming too much of a single world government. If I may say that we want to avoid creating a civilizational risk by having, frankly, this may sound a little odd, too much cooperation between governments. If you look at, say, at history and the rise and fall of civilizations, that really all throughout history, civilizations have risen and fallen, but it hasn't meant the doom of humanity as a whole, because there've been all these separate civilizations that were separated by great distances. And so, say like while Rome was falling, Islam was rising, and so you had like the sort of caliphate doing incredibly well while Rome was doing terribly. And that actually ended up being a source of preservation of knowledge and many scientific advancements. And so, so I think we want to be a little bit cautious about being too much of a single civilization, because if we are too much of a single civilization, then if the whole thing may collapse.
Elon Musk is a genius, man. I mean, what an absolutely beautiful point that he makes, is that if you have everything so co-interdependent on each other, then it all collapses. And we saw this in 2 world wars throughout Europe, and that Europe essentially committed suicide. America was a backwater. America was never supposed to be the world dominating power. Europe was the world dominating power. Europe had all of the culture and all the institutions and all the banking, and Europe committed suicide against itself. But thankfully, we had independent nations that were able to fill the void there. And then America and Russia filled that void, and then they fought, and America won off of better virtues and value systems, which is how governments should operate. What if America was in league with the communists? What if we had the same system of government? We would fall just like the communism, and just like the communists did, and we'd have another dark age. And that's what Elon Musk is warning against. Elon Musk said that open and free debate and the purchase of Twitter was in order to save civilization. Elon Musk talked about why he purchased Twitter at this conference. Go.
And I think this is something that is probably agreeable to the legislators and the people of most countries. So I think that's the general idea, is just to reflect the values of the people, as opposed to imposing the values of essentially San Francisco and Berkeley, which are somewhat of a niche ideology as compared to the rest of the world. But Twitter was, I think, doing a little too much to impose a niche, San Francisco Berkeley ideology on the world. I thought it was important, kind of, for the future of civilization to try to correct that thumb on the scale, if you will, and just have Twitter more accurately reflect, like I said, the values of the people of Earth. That's the intention, and hopefully we succeed in doing that.
Man, what a brave man. What an incredibly brave. Like, the iron in his spine, the brass in his balls, the gunpowder in his gut, to talk about the woke ideologies of San Francisco, putting the thumb on the scale of big tech. He just came out and said it. And what happened when these Marxists took over Twitter? The Marxists did exactly what they always do. They censored people. And they censored and they tried to destroy individuals who were speaking truth. And one of them works on our program as our executive producer and is our in-house Twitter expert. He's back on the platform. His name is The Great, Alx. Alx the Great. I think that's what we're going to do. Alx the Great. Alexander the Great. These clips are going wild. Elon responded to you tweeting, I think, the clip about world government.
Yeah, he actually responded to like 3 of them. So I said that it was fairly, because he got a lot of criticism for speaking at this globalist summit. That's one of the comments I was seeing from one of my initial tweets talking about, free speech on Twitter, and people are like, why is he even speaking at such like a globalist event? So then he came out and said it. He's like, I have concerns against world government. He's like, I know it's a world government summit and everything, but there are dangers to, putting your eggs all in one basket, because if it collapses, then the entire civilization of Earth would collapse. So I tweeted that clip, and then he responded to that, and then he's like, yeah, I thought that was the appropriate venue to make those comments at. Sort of a little like snarky comment there, which is perfect. And this kind of goes into the same vein as like the WEF. When that was all going on, he was like criticizing them. And then I saw some people criticizing Donald Trump for having spoke there. But then a couple clips went viral of what he actually said on the stage at the WEF. And he was talking about how we should endorse Americanism, not globalism. So I don't have a problem with people speaking at these events. It's the message that they bring. If Elon is going to go to these events and speak to these events, he wants to try and change some of these people's mind and use their platform to get across what the real message should be, which, you should put your country first, and to reject the idea of globalism.
I think it's great that he's even invited. Elon is so good at this, but he's also incredibly based. And I guess these days, based just means allowing people to speak freely. He's bringing back virtually everyone back to Twitter. I mean, am I wrong? Like, he has made good on his promise to restore Twitter to a free speech site. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they've been working on amnesty for the past 2 months. Pretty much a lot of people that I know that were banned have come back. There are a few glitches that some people are seeing. So what they've done is they redid the entire process of appeals now. So if you appeal your account and you weren't suspended or you were not brought back under amnesty, they're using the amnesty guidelines to now review accounts. And then they're also going to be getting rid of the ban evasion reason to keep people banned. So
that's how they got you, right?
Yeah, exactly. So and that's
these
something
Marxists.
that I expressed with them is that there are like accounts that were banned maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and the initial thing was you had to go and appeal that initial suspension. People don't remember, number one, their usernames, their passwords, all of this. So that's like a big issue. It's like, yeah, I was suspended from Twitter like 10 years ago. I don't remember like anything. And, you know, they even said that they were having trouble finding the reasons that people were originally suspended on the like the internal side. So there are a lot of like weird things happening. So they're just going to do away with it and like, you know, basically give people that deserve a second chance. So that's really good. And like I said, almost everyone that I know of has been brought back.
So it seems like Elon Musk has sort of a through line in both of the clips that we played, as it pertains to Twitter itself and why he bought it, or as it pertains to world government, which is about as big as you can get around here. The through line is that you shouldn't have hive mind. That hive mind hurts people. And diversity of thought and diversity of opinion and diversity and freedom of movement, that helps people. And it's always the collectivist nature, the neo-Marxist nature, to like create a hive mind. And that's sort of what he speaks out against with Twitter, right? He's like, what happened here is the same problem. Globalism, just the collectivism of like a small group of people speaking in circles, and then it destroys the capacity to think. And I think you saw a lot of that on display when they dragged in Yoel Roth and when they dragged in Vijay Gadde in front of Congress last week. Did you not?
Yeah, so one of the most tone-deaf things, and actually Elon replied to this as well. I tweeted both the clip and the Zero Hedge article. He replied to the Zero Hedge article. Yoel Roth said something to the effect of the fact that we allow more free speech leads to less free speech. And it was the most tone-deaf thing ever, because if you think, like, you look at what he says at a surface level, it's like, how does that even make sense, what you're saying? Allowing more speech is actually making more, like, censorship? Like, so his argument is we need to censor more to allow free speech. It's the most backwards and perverse thing ever. And then, like, everything that came out, like, what they were prioritizing censoring, political content over illegal content. It's just like, it's borderline criminal. And the fact that like they were dragged before Congress is it's just hilarious to see. Like in the last 5 months, it went from them all confident Elon isn't going to take over, Donald Trump isn't going to be reinstated, all these statements, and now they're before Congress testifying. So I hope we see some accountability there. But yeah, it's just the tone deaf attitudes of these people at Twitter. They're like, oh, I didn't have any bias at Twitter. And then they hold up the tweet of saying, here is you calling Trump supporters Nazis. How can those two things exist? You're working at Twitter and enforcing policy against people that support Trump, and then also tweeting on your personal account, oh yeah, Trump supporters are Nazis. There's actual Nazis in the White House. Like, those two things can't be true at the same time.
Now, I'm no lawyer, and I don't think you are either, but there was a member of Congress that said that this is just the start and arrests will come soon. His name is Clay Higgins. He's from Louisiana. He himself is a prosecutor. He's now, of course, a seated member of Congress, and he asked Twitter these questions, signaling that arrests will soon be coming for people that defied the Constitution. I mean, what would be the process here? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, so what I've heard from him is that he's going down the vein that he was, Twitter and those Twitter executives were communicating with the FBI, and that they both had insight on the criminal implications of the Hunter Biden laptop story. So his case would be the fact that Jim Baker had insight into the criminal nature of it, and then also was using his position at Twitter to, suppress that so it didn't get out to the public. So his argument would be that, Jim Baker had knowledge that the rest of the public didn't, and he's helping cover up like potential criminal activity that was on the laptop. So I don't know the exact charges or anything that he was thinking of, but that's what he was, getting at there.
So the future of Twitter, I think, is profoundly important to civilization. We've done our show on Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton maybe running for president. You're gonna need to be able to hit back against that, and inside of the censorship regime that they run effectively through the corporate press and through social media. That's why they're screaming bloody murder about disinformation and shutting down conservative sites, because they need to be able to protect the two of them these two criminals that would be running for office. And an open and free Twitter is a huge threat to a Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton ticket. I mean, obviously. And so Elon Musk talking about the future of Twitter and what's about to happen, I think is very important. He said this at the conference when he was asked about it. I'll play the clip, and I'd love to get your reaction.
But how do you see Twitter, if we say 5 years down the road? What's your vision for this platform? What should it do?
Well, I think I'd like to, have this sort of long-term vision for something called X.com from way back in the day, which is kind of like a sort of like an everything app, where it's just maximally useful. It does, payments, it does, so it provides financial services, provides information flow, really anything digital, and also provides secure communications. So it would be as useful as possible, as entertaining as possible, and also to be like a source of truth. Like if you want to find out what's going on and what's really going on, then you should be able to go on X, the X app, and find out.
So ALX, Elon Musk has been pretty open about the X Everything app. He's tweeted about it a couple times. He wants to turn Twitter into a payment processor, all of this. You're a technologist. You see these things well into the future. Final question here. What should Twitter become? Do you agree with this? And what would it look like?
Yeah, I totally agree that making Twitter into something that's more, inclusive of everything in everyday life, like a payment processor. We've had that issue with PayPal and Venmo that they wanted to get rid of people for what they said. So if we have an alternative and have someone that, we trust and is pro free speech, I see no reason why we shouldn't, have more things that could be switched over to that app, whether it be news, whether it be our speech, whether it be payment processing. And one of the things I'll say on this too is it should be a source of truth in news. This week we saw Pete Buttigieg finally respond to the crisis in Ohio, solely because he was trending on Twitter.
Yes.
And that's the power of something that, they can't censor. So your comment on Michelle Obama and all of these people running for president, they see the writing on the wall here. And this is basically a 2015, 2016 moment where Twitter was uncensored and it helped win Donald Trump the presidency. So the people who no longer control Twitter are the ones most who fear Twitter right now, is because they have no control over it. And now they're the ones being forced to respond to trending topics because Pete Buttigieg ignored that the entire time and was finally forced to respond when he saw his name trending at the top of Twitter.
It makes you wonder how much they got away with. It really does. It makes you wonder how much they got away with, not just in the social media era, but in the era when there was a couple of networks, right? And there were just small-time papers. Like, what were they able to get away with when they controlled everything? It would be a different country, and we're glad that it is, and we're certainly glad that users like you are back. Everybody, go follow ALX. ALX, where can they follow you?
At ALX on Twitter, at Alx The Lord on Instagram and Getter, and then also at ALX on Truth Social.
Alx the Great, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to him. He's always right. See ya, man.
See ya.
Thank you for watching. Our channel's here to meme the libs until they cry and then to meme them crying. Their tears, they taste just like sweet, delicious ice cream. Salty, too. We ridicule the establishment and the libs because of you. Your support keeps us going. So if you like what you saw, please punch the subscribe button, click like, and ring the little bell so that you know when we're live. Don't you want to know when we're live? And make sure that you subscribe to our email list just in case the plug gets pulled, as tends to happen. If you want to see more of our videos, click here or here. My name is Benny Johnson. Stay free, Base Patriots.